I do want to get into tanking in the NFL. I think we saw the latest example on Monday Night Football with Justin Herbert and the Chargers of why tanking in the NFL is not a smart strategy. 99 out of 100 times it doesn't work. And you're not setting yourself up for actual true success. And I want to use it, like I just said, Justin Herbert, especially from Monday Night Football, is the latest example here. He went 20 of 34 against the Saints in the Superdome. No fans, but still on the road. 264 yards, 4 touchdowns. First rookie in NFL history to throw for 4 touchdowns on Monday Night Football. On the season so far, since he took over for Tyrod Taylor, second game to the season, right? So he's had 4 starts so far. Justin Herbert has 68% completion percentage, throwing 9 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. So far this season, he has more passing yards than Big Ben, Carson Wentz, Matthew Stafford, Baker Mayfield. He's thrown more touchdown passes in 9 than Kyler Murray, Jared Goff, and obviously the number 1 overall pick in Joe Burrow. He has a higher completion percentage than Dak Prescott, Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson. Safe to say, when you put yourself in that company, or better statistically, you're having a pretty good year. Not going out on a limb. I understand the Chargers haven't won a game that Justin Herbert has started. But Herbert is having offensive and statistical success, in part and mostly because the Chargers didn't tank. The Chargers didn't tear it down, be as bad as possible, draft a quarterback, and expect it all to turn around. Herbert has a legitimate offense around him. Look at it. You have Keenan Allen, one of the most sure-handed, tremendous possession receivers in the NFL. He's honestly a vacuum. You throw it in that area, more times than not, Keenan Allen is coming down with it. So you have a sure-handed wide receiver to throw the ball to. Mike Williams is a great big body threat that you can throw the ball down the field with, and he'll go make some tremendous catches down the field. He's your vertical threat. We saw it Monday night. Throw a deep touchdown pass to him who was wide open. Game's on the line, 4th quarter. Justin Herbert takes a shot deep. Mike Williams makes the catch. That catch should have won them the game. If your kicker can just hit a field goal. But a tremendous catch, and that's what you have when you have a deep, big body receiver that's a deep threat in Mike Williams. So you have 2 reliable wide receivers. You have Hunter Henry, who's very athletic at the tight end position. You have weapons to throw the ball to. There's room for improvement on the offensive line for sure. But they've also been hurt by injuries. You're not behind a ragtag makeshift offensive line. You have some sort of professionals on there to give you some sort of protection. So Herbert's having success in part because he has real wide receivers to throw the ball to. He's a solid tight end, and he has time to throw the ball. He's not dropping back and getting crushed every single play. Look at Justin Herbert's situation in Los Angeles to that of Joe Burrow's in Cincinnati so far. Joe Burrow has the worst offensive line in the NFL. Already through 5 games, he's been sacked 22 times. You know what he's on pace for? If he plays a full 16 games, if the offensive line doesn't improve any sort of bit, Joe Burrow is on track to get sacked 70 times this year. 70! Which would be the 3rd highest in NFL history. That is a record-breaking pace for your number 1 overall pick. And look, while we are throwing praise, we're throwing bouquets to Justin Herbert because he's been playing well so far. Right? In all 4 of his starts, the Chargers aren't losing because of him. He's been aggressive. He's been throwing the ball down the field. He's making dynamic plays. And for all the questions maybe concerning, maybe Justin Herbert, needs some time to adjust to the NFL game. He has to learn the playbook. He's kind of get acclimated. He's one of those quarterbacks that could use a year off to get used to the speed of the NFL. He's come in and looked comfortable. He's looked confident. He's throwing the ball down the field with ease. He's accurate. He's taking shots. All the criticisms and all the concerns you could say coming out of Chargers camp of why Tyrod Taylor will be the starter over Justin Herbert to start the season has proved to be false. Herbert doesn't look overwhelmed. Again, he looks cool, calm, in control. Seems to be absorbing what's going on with the offense. So that's what we're talking about when it comes to Justin Herbert. What are we talking about when it comes to Joe Burrow? The biggest debate, the biggest question mark, the biggest arguing point when it comes to Joe Burrow so far this season is whether the Bengals should legitimately consider benching him, not because of his poor play, not because he's overwhelmed or doesn't understand the speed of the NFL or just is struggling. It's because they don't want to get him killed. They don't want an Andrew Luck Part 2 on their hands because this guy gets hurt and hit so much that he just can't play, can't be the same player. So look at that. One team is god-awful in the Bengals. I would say they tank, but they just have a terrible, god-awful roster. They have 5 guys who couldn't be really any worse at their jobs in the offensive line. Joe Burrow's paying the price for it. We look at the Chargers, they have a really good roster. They were taken down, unfortunately, by the same quarterback that is now quarterbacking my team in Philip Rivers of the Colts. They didn't tank. They didn't tear it down. They didn't trade off any asset possible that had skill in order to get a quarterback. They played hard. They lost a lot of games, but it wasn't because of trying. It was because of lack of talent. And you see, when you insulate when you insulate a young quarterback with just not an all-world class of receivers or offensive line, just something competent, something borderline, something that passes, you see if that quarterback is young and has talent, they will succeed. That, to me, so far, through 5 games, is why Justin Herbert is a leader in the clubhouse for Offensive Rookie of the Year. Because his cast around him, the surrounding cast around him, is competent. Whereas Joe Burrows is putting him in harm's way. I like T. Higgins as a receiver. I think that him and Burrow have a nice connection so far. But that offensive line is so bad, so brutal. That even though you have a good, dynamic, young running back in Joe Mixon, you have a veteran receiver in A.J. Green. I like Tyler Boyd. That they have some decent skill sets, skill position players, I should say. But that offensive line is so bad, can't protect him, that we are legitimately now concerned for Joe Burrow's health. That he'll be able to make it through a season. That's why looking at how the Chargers are handling Justin Herbert, how the Bengals are handling Joe Burrow, it's why I love what the Dolphins are doing with Tua Tagovailoa. You see the two situations. One team, when you have protection and players to throw the ball to, they thrive in Justin Herbert. One team, you can't protect Joe Burrow to save your life, and you're on pace to allow almost a league record amount of sacks. Trying to turn him into David Carr. That is not sustainable, which is why I love what the Dolphins are doing so far with Tua Tagovailoa. Take your time. Be smart. You have 2 rookies on that offensive line. Make sure they have their feet set. Make sure they basically are used to now the speed of the NFL game. Make sure that when you put Tua in, you are confident they can protect him. Because you want a Joe Burrow, you don't want a Joe Burrow situation if you're the Dolphins. You want a Justin Herbert situation. You want to put Tua in there and have him benefit from the talent around him, not put Tua in there and expect to elevate everyone around him. Because the situation surrounding quarterbacks, young quarterbacks especially, is just as important as the skill of the quarterbacks themselves. Let's take a quick look around the NFL at the best quarterbacks in the league and their situation surrounding them. Patrick Mahomes, Deshaun Watson, Russell Wilson, Lamar Jackson, Dak Prescott, Aaron Rodgers. All of these guys were drafted and taken by teams that weren't tanking. That didn't put them in positions to where they basically had to be the offense themselves. They put them in positions where their offensive line was competent. They had good skill position players around them. They had good coaching to coach them up, to put them in positions to succeed. I don't understand why tanking, and I said this before and I'll say it again, I don't understand why tanking is such a popular thought process, why it's such a popular move for bad teams. Because, again, what we've seen, Patrick Mahomes, right? Everyone wants. Well, the Chiefs traded up to get Patrick Mahomes. They won the division with Alex Smith. They had already a system set in place. Well, all they needed was a quarterback to take them to the next level. Russell Wilson with the Seahawks. Lamar Jackson with the Ravens. Aaron Rodgers with the Packers. All these guys were drafted and put in great situations to succeed. They weren't drafted expecting them to be the savior. They weren't drafted expecting them to basically be the entirety of the offense. You go win us games. Forget the fact that your offensive line stinks. Forget the fact that your receivers stink, tight ends stink, running back stinks. You need to win games. That's not sustainable. It's not practical. So that's why, again, I don't understand why fans are so quick to root for tanking. Why Jets fans specifically want to be as bad as possible in order to try to draft Trevor Lawrence, thinking that will turn it around. I'm legitimately nervous about Trevor Lawrence going to the Jets. I am. You look at that offensive line, you look at the skill positions they have around him. What makes you think Trevor Lawrence will have some success? Even if he's talented. I think he could be Joe Burrow Part 2. You're getting killed. You're getting crushed. It's tough to have success because guess what? The guys you throw the ball to aren't good. The running back you hand the ball off to isn't good. I mean, you do drop back, you don't have any time because your offensive line stinks. The situation around young quarterbacks is just as important, maybe if not more important, than the actual skill of the young quarterback you draft. Because they can have skill, they can have talent. But if they're put in a position where they can't succeed, where the offensive-minded head coach just isn't good, the offensive line can't protect you, the receivers can't catch the ball, the running back isn't a threat, it is impossible to succeed. Look at the blueprint for good teams and consistently good teams. They didn't do it by tanking. They didn't do it by losing as much as possible, drafting a quarterback, and expecting that quarterback to basically play hero ball. It's a process. You build up the offensive line. You get some skill position players. Try to get some pieces on your defense. It's not get the quarterback and hope that they could basically play 1 versus 11 and be a miracle worker. Look at Deshaun Watson so far in Houston. The Texans are 1-4. Their head coach is fired. There was playoff aspirations, expectations this year. How come we're not criticizing Deshaun Watson? How come there's no talk of questioning, is Deshaun Watson really that good? The reason why is because you see Deshaun Watson is one of the elite quarterbacks when he has time to throw the ball, when he has good weapons to throw the ball to. You take a top 3 wide receiver away in DeAndre Hopkins. You put an offensive line together that's terrible. And you have injury-riddled running backs and small wide receivers to throw the ball to. Guess what? You're not going to succeed. No one is doubting Deshaun Watson's talent. But as you see, even the most talented quarterbacks in the league don't have success when the surrounding cast around them sucks. Flat out. When they aren't good, you can't have success no matter how good the quarterback is. If you put Patrick Mahomes with the Jets, Russell Wilson with the Jets, you think they're still Russell Wilson? You think they're still Patrick Mahomes? No. So Justin Herbert again in the Chargers. The latest example on Monday night. When you have a system in place where you have competent pieces all around your young quarterback, that's how you put them in positions to succeed. The Bengals didn't make a mistake and draft the wrong quarterback. Joe Burrow's still going to be really good, and I think Joe Burrow will have a better career than Justin Herbert, I do. But so far, the situation around Joe Burrow is so dire, is so bad, that he can't get out of it. One player can't make up for just the terribleness of the 10 guys around him. So again, tanking doesn't work. It's not a good strategy. It's not a winning philosophy. So I'm curious your thoughts. Worldwide Sports Network on Facebook, WWSRN_radio on Twitter, at Ryan Hickey Show on Twitter. Are you still a fan of tanking? If you're a Jets fan, if you're a Giants fan, if you're a Falcons fan, are you trying to strip it all down, be as bad as possible to draft Trevor Lawrence? To maybe draft Justin Fields if you like him better? Because I'm legitimately nervous. The Jets get the number 1 pick, and it's Trevor Lawrence. I think we'll be sitting here in 2 years, 3 years, saying the same thing about Sam Darnold, or saying the same thing about Trevor Lawrence, or saying about Sam Darnold. Can't overcome the situation. Just not good enough, not winning, because the team around him is terrible.